Hi, do you know your story is uniquely yours? It's very inspiring how that you're watching me through your screen right now, and I'm very sure you watched other people's story through your screen. Your story is impactful more than you can imagine. I'm very aware, and I speak for myself now how that I've watched many people's story, and I can just relate. It felt like they looked through my heart to see what I was going through. And it begs the question, why are a lot of people very silent when it comes to sharing the story, especially ones that they feel makes them vulnerable? And that's because they see themselves as victims, which might not necessarily be so, because the thing is, there is nothing new under the sun. No matter how bad, how dreadful, how hurtful your story might have been, trust me, you're not the only one who has gone through it. And sharing it can empower others. I have some points here that would inspire you on how to share your story and why you should share your story, because I think your story matters, your story counts, and it's very important that people get to hear your side of the story because your words really matter. I just mentioned some point here, and I think this particular one is for empowerment. Your story empower others than you can imagine. I mean, we've heard of stories about people who have been raped and how they came through all of that. People have had to suffer some terrible ordeal and they came through that. They're stronger, they're better people. In fact, they never look like what they had gone through. And it inspires you, it empowers you, it makes you feel like you're seen, and it just propels you for the years ahead, that you can come out of whatever it is you're going through because someone else has come out of their mess, as the case may be. So your story empowers and inspires others. The second point here is a very good one. It's connection and understanding. Oh my God. Have you ever seen that you're watching someone's story, hearing someone's story, and for some reason you're so empathetic? There's this connection as though you already know this person before, but you don't. But you can relate, you can understand because you probably have gone through, what they have gone through, or you know somebody who has gone through that, or you've been in that situation, so you can understand, you can connect, you can relate, and this is why you find yourself replaying these videos or keep listening to these stories because it speaks to you. You can just relate. It's something that gets to you. Why? Because you can understand. The third point here is healing and growth. Oh my goodness. Talk about the healing powers of hearing other story. There's something therapeutic when you hear people's story, and when you share your story, it does something to people's mind. It can heal broken hearts. It can just bring about peace. It can bring love. It's funny how that someone can listen to your story and immediately they're set free from whatever stronghold and bondage has held them down. And this is because your story can bring about healing to people's hearts. Can just be a silver lining in someone else's life. They would never have thought someone had gone through what they are going through. But hearing your story, seeing you share something so therapeutic does something to their heart, right? It just does something to them. It heals them of something that you never can tell. And this is why you should share your story. You never know who you're healing, you never know who needs to hear your soothing voice, your words. Please and please and please, stories are therapeutic. Sharing can bring about such healing. And the fourth point here is education and awareness. You'll be very surprised that many people are unaware of some certain lifestyles or situations, as the case may be. But when you share your stories, I mean, it can just blow like wildfire. People just begin to catch the fever, like, oh my God, I never knew that this was happening. Someone was going through these things. It brings about education. And, you know, people can be aware, parents can be aware of it, guardians, kids, teenagers, young adults, name it. People are unaware of a lot of things, and share your story will bring about education, awareness. People will tend to research, when they get new stories or things that seem to get to them that they are not aware of before. And this is why you need to share your story. The fifth point here is preservation of legacy. Trust me, we need to share stories so that the legend can live on, like they say, because you never know. Once you share a story, it stays, and people can always refer back and to say, oh, there was a time Jumoke went through this. There was a time she went through that. There was a time she had gone through something of the sort, and they can find solace. They can find wisdom in what you had shared. They can shed light on a particular situation in people's life, in their journey. So please share your story. The 6 point here is you need to share your story in order that people can be encouraged to be vulnerable. We're in a world where everybody wants to, you know, hide under whatever it is you're going through and be the strong person for everybody except themselves. Please, sharing your story can encourage vulnerability. We need people to come out clean, to say it's okay not to be okay. There's no one who's gonna punch you in the face for saying you're tired or for saying you're not fine. Sharing your story will encourage vulnerability amongst people in different spheres, of influence. It encourages people to say, see, I'm at this point. Can you give me grace, to be myself at this particular season? I'm not fine. I'm going through a lot. Sharing your story can be quite vulnerable for you yourself, but it will interest you that share your story will encourage others to be vulnerable. To say that no matter what it is you're going through, I don't care whether you've been thrown in the ditch, I don't care whether you've been through hell and high water, you can be vulnerable. It's okay not to be okay. It is very okay to be vulnerable. You don't have to be the big person all the time. You don't have to be the one who's the adult, if that makes sense. You can be a child. You can cry for help. You can seek help. You can say, you know what, I'm not okay, and I need you to be okay with me not being okay. And the last point, the 7 point here is when you share, you empower others to share as well. When you share, it gives people the what's it called, the confidence to want to share. I mean, you see, when someone shares a particular story that many people are already aware of, but because there's just this fear in the atmosphere, no one wants to be the first person to admit they had gone through this particular situation. Everyone then keeps silent. But when somebody who's bold enough, who's confident enough to share the story, does share the story, then you see others coming out to share. And this is because our story matters. Our final word: your story is a gift to the world. Share your story. It empowers others, it inspires others, it will bring about communication, connection, it will bring about empowerment. Your story is just not a thing that just happened. It is very valid. It will be the legacy. It would encourage others to say that, you know what, you're not alone. I've gone through this, I've come out of this, and you also can come through whatever it is you're going through. Your story is so valid. Please let us keep sharing story. Sharing is caring, and your story can bring about a change in the world. My name is Jumoke. I'm an NLP coach, and I hope this helps you. Reach out to me if you need more help.